Good evening. I would like to call the Thursday, January 23rd Receivers Meeting with the public to order. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get started, for the record, I want to note that both Director Harris, Vice President Harris, and Board Member Morales are on virtually. They participated in our executive session, and they are on virtually, so they are considered present for this meeting. And also, I would just ask if we can have a moment of silence. There's been a lot of grief, illness, and things around us. And in our line of work, we need to sometimes take that moment to clear our minds and hearts so that we can do what's best for the scholars in which we serve. So if we can just have a moment of silence for all that's going on. Thank you. All right, Dr. Momin, we'll move on to your report.
Thank you, Receiver Nichols. Good evening to everyone who's present here today and everyone who's watching online. I'd like to share with you an update today for last month as well as this month. Next slide. So we'd like to say congratulations to Board President Amanda Johnson and Vice President Beverly Harris from the reorganization that occurred in December. Board Member Harris is on the phone. Thank you.
Well, they just texted me to say that YouTube's not working.
That's correct, the live stream is up.
Oh, okay. Apologies.
Thank you. Safe to say, this is a reminder to our school community. Safe to Say is a program that has been required since 2018. However, the Chester Upland School District, we have really been diligent around sharing this information and want to ensure that any individuals who may feel like they are unsafe in school, that they are reaching out, and Safe to Say is one of the ways to do that. We want you to be able to contact your building principals and or your teachers as well as our central administration, but if you also feel like you are unable to do that, Safe to Say is a way to do that on a mobile app, website, or hotline anonymously, and we will address any concerns. Next slide. Second Chance Breakfast at Chester High School. We want to encourage our students at Chester High School to arrive on time daily to participate in the PA Breakfast Expansion Program. Next slide. Next slide. There are several updates from our various departments. We'll share a few of those today. So in terms of our recovery plan, the receiver, myself, and chief of staff are working to coordinate the advisory committee meeting, the next meeting that will be held on February 12th. Looks like you have to cancel that, what you have up on the slide, Mr. Armour. It's gonna close out. It's gonna shut down. It's on the screen. Thank you.
Mr. Armour, when are we getting the fancy one that you got in all those other conference rooms in?
Next slide. Next slide. Finance and business office update. There's some restroom renovations at Toby Farms and removal of underground storage tanks on our Toby Farms grounds, which is near where our transportation office is. The business office has been fully staffed with support from the HR department, working in collaboration with our executive team. And then in terms of an update on our audit, so the 2021 audit is closer to being completed. We've had legal representation documents from the auditing firm, so that is an indication that we are closer to the 21 audit. Also, any questions from parents around senior dues for the hometown ticketing? The business office will actually be present at events on February 4th and February 6th to receive payments and walk parents through the process. Next slide. Human resources. Human resources is supporting our districts and leading the efforts around our professional contract bargaining. And those sessions will begin in February. We've had some initial meetings to prepare. Also, as I stated with the business office, recruitment efforts around the business office, fully staffing the business office, but recruitment also for hiring certified teachers and vacancies that we've had non-certified staff in for the 24-25 year, now preparing for the 25-26 school year. We also would like to welcome at ESA a new school leader in the assistant principal role, Mrs. Jackson. I don't know if Mrs. Jackson is here today, but we absolutely want to congratulate and welcome her to CUSD. And also with the business hires, we have 3 new individuals as well, the accounting specialist, federal accounting specialist, and business office administrative assistant, and we want to welcome them as well. Next slide. Thank you. We have a lot of work being done around equitable learning support for our students. There will be a diversity survey coming soon, and that is to support our schools around culture and climate. We also continue our efforts around social emotional learning across the district and support to our homeless students and families. If you have any questions about those areas, in particular homeless students and families, please reach out to Mrs. Bowser. Next slide. Transportation and food services. Ms. Payne has previously been our student registration coordinator under child accounting. She is now our transportation and food service coordinator. So please reach out to Ms. Payne with any questions around food services and transportation at mpayne@chesteruplandsd.org and or transportation@chesteruplandsd.org for specific transportation questions. There's also a phone number here for dispatch at 484-482-6139.
Hold on, can you keep that up?
Yes.
So just don't worry to get in contact. Can you see right there? Hold on, I'm gonna take
So the
this.
dispatch number, 484-482-6139. And you can contact Ms. Payne directly for transportation and food services.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next slide. Special education and child accounting updates. So the special education department continues to do professional development. The update this week is around autism, the autism initiative boot camp, as well as support with emotional support consultant at Chester High School, and then early intervention for students that are transitioning into kindergarten. And that partnership is with Elwyn Seas. Next slide. We have approximately 3,081 students, so we still remain very healthy, around 3,100 students. And we look forward to our efforts for the 25-26 school year as we begin the enrollment process. Next slide. Academics. Was previously shared around Firefly. The district completed its first administration of the Firefly assessment, and that was December 12th and 13th. In addition to that, several of our district high school students had the opportunity to celebrate with the city on its 300th anniversary dedication event for the Chester Courthouse on Thursday, December 12th, and we want to recognize that 300th anniversary. Next slide. Federal programs. So CUSD is partnering with Chester Elite Transportation on an EPA application, and this is around the Clean School Bus Rebate Program. CUSD and Chester Elite intends to use these rebate funds to replace 6 of its diesel buses with 6 new zero-emission school buses in 2025, pending the application. Next slide. Information and technology. There are several things that IT is working on within the district. The focus here today is potential upgrades on our internal connections at an 85% discounted rate. So IT is working on the assessment of that, as well as an assessment of cybersecurity software that will add another layer of security in our district, as well as evaluating electronic hall pass vendors and getting quotes to expand our esports program. Next slide. Pupil Services, College and Career. Mr. Franklin is our point of contact for college and career readiness with our high school scholars, 12th grade counselors as well. There are several dates listed here. So January 28th, we have a trade presentation at STEM Academy. January 29th, Rowan University campus visit, as well as CUSD Scholarship Symposium, which will be held at STEM. And then a FAFSA workshop, February 5th, and February 20th, a Black Male Initiative with Delaware State University. Next slide. Next slide. This is a reminder that the end of our second marking period is Friday, January 24th. Next slide. So upcoming senior nights, there are several events listed here. Please reach out to the high school principals regarding information for these events. Next slide. The Community Scholarship Symposium, which I mentioned, provides local community groups to be able to come out and provide opportunities to share information with our scholars. That event, again, is on Wednesday, January 29th. Please reach out to Mr. Franklin if you are interested in participating. Next slide. Our district-wide spelling bee is February 4th. Next slide. And then there are upcoming events that are posted on all of our social media platforms and websites, so please just make sure you continue to follow. But Parent-Teacher Conferences, February 6th, In-Service Day for staff, February 7th, and President's Day, schools and offices are closed, February 17th. Next slide. Next slide. We didn't. One slide back. One more slide. Next slide, thank you.
The other way?
Towards the staff members that are being recognized. So keep going. I'm not sure why it's not working. There we go. So we didn't have the opportunity to do this in December. We want to recognize our November staff members of the month at this time. Next slide. No signal.
We put all the good resources in the schools.
Yeah. So I will continue. Yes, and now we also have our December staff members of the month that we want to recognize. Toby Farms had an exotic animal assembly. Next slide. ESA celebrated its PBIS initiative. That's around positive behavior in the schools. Next slide. The community attended our Title I Fall Family Summit, which was well attended. Next slide. CUSD Athletics, we honor AD Jeffrey Randy Leggett, and we want to give him an applause at this time. He served 33 years in CUSD as a Dean of Students, Coach, and Athletic Director for 22 years. And we thank him. Congratulations, Mr. Leggett. Next slide. We also had our annual district-wide science fair. Next slide. And our winter concert, which you can watch the recording of that on Clipper TV. Next slide. We had toy donations. This was led by Ms. Averett, our Chief of Staff. with a visit to ESA Elementary, and we would like to thank the Philadelphia Eagles linebacker, Nicole B. Dean, the Eagles Charitable Foundation, and Between Friends Boutique for their donations. We had a community discussion yesterday, collaboration with the City of Chester and our partners, Swarthmore College and Lang Center for Civic and Social Responsibility, around a lead-free Chester and how we can come together to begin to do lead testing screening for our students, because that impacts access to education ability. So please look forward to more of that. If you would like to volunteer, please let us know that as well to support this effort. Next slide. There are several upcoming events. I pointed out some of the main ones that you would need to know. Next slide. Next slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lamine. Our student reps are at the basketball game. So we'll move on to presentations. I don't see Dr. Sutton.
He was here.
He's working, I'm sure. So he's usually my table of contents. I don't know, I see Principal Loper.
Oh, there's Dr. Sutton.
Kusa, all right.
All right, Kusa.
Good evening, all. Thank you for having Kusa represented here. We want to go over the highlights of things that's happening in our building. So we're starting off with student and family engagement. We had our bell ringing ceremony at the beginning of the school year, where we had multiple people from the city represented and the high school cheerleaders. Our book walk, where we gave out hundreds of books to our students to take home. Grandparents' Day, which is always so very well attended, that represent our community well. One of our incentive trips, once again, we partnered with Longwood Gardens to take children who had exhibited great behavior. They could also bring a parent to go along on that trip. We have our Battle of the Floors, which is an incentive for our students to stay in uniform. So each floor competes against each other, and whoever wins, they have a celebration on the floor. Everybody out in the hallway, some music, a little bit of snacks. And that's increased participation in wearing uniforms. Our Phoenix of the Month ceremonies exhibited great behavior, where we have incentives downstairs. One of them included paint with a sip, which had some lemonade, where students could participate with their families and make portraits. And I would like to really point out the picture that's in the center, where we had some team building with our staff right before we went on break, and they had a great time, and I got a lot of positive feedback. And sometimes we have to pour into our staff as much as we're pouring into our students to make them feel good about coming, because we know this is such a heavy lift for our teachers, and I think we're going to continue to do more of that. And lastly, we're going to talk about two things. Kimmel Center, our fourth grade went to the Kimmel Center, and as you see next to our other picture, they're actually on stage, and they participated in performances at the Kimmel Center. And the last thing happened right before we went on break, and this was part of our slide last time before this was canceled last month. We had the Philadelphia Wings come in and did 2 assemblies where the students got to participate, and they donated supplies to our school. So that's an ongoing partnership that we're looking forward to. Next slide.
Alrighty, let's talk about attendance. So our attendance right now is 89.2%, is our average daily attendance. So we're looking to improve that. So one of the plans for improvement is we're going to add or increase our engagement activities for students and families. We've restructured our attendance team under the umbrella of our MTSS plans. Our attendance input is checked daily by myself and Mr. Looper. We do weekly calls from our behavioral staff and climate managers. We use Panorama to collect and analyze data and create intervention plans. And we also send letters home for those students who may be egregious in not attending school or behavior. Next slide.
These next few slides are all about academic data. And what I've been seeing is a slow but steady increase over the last few years. So if we look at our PSSA data, that's 20.9% proficiency rate, but that's a 12.7 increase over 3 years. We're looking to increase that every single year. We're looking for bigger jumps, but I'm looking at it as every year we have improved. We use different things to improve that. We have ECRI, which is Enhanced Core Reading Instruction for our kindergarten and first grade students. That's around phonics, to increase that so they can do more reading. Their fluency is better, their comprehension is better. We put an emphasis on small group instruction. It's scheduled. We pop in, Dr. Odom and I, to see where we can support. We also have our reading support, our reading specialist pop in. She's targeted some teachers who may needed some modeling of how to properly utilize small group instruction. They also meet with our ISTL to go over how they can improve instructions bi-weekly, so they're getting support, not just, oh, this isn't what you're doing well, this is what you're doing well, and this is how we can improve together. And they have a voice, which is one of the things I like about professional learning committees. We have targeted instruction, a cadence and Dibble assessment that also is supported by our ISTL and our reading specialist. Next slide. Mathematics is still a really big struggle. However, this has increased every single year since I've been in the building. When I first started working at CUSA, our achievement data was at 1.5%. So we're up to 5.9 this year. There has been a great emphasis on math instruction from the district, where the teachers are being supported from the DCIU. It is filtered through the principals, and we are assisting teachers with math instruction because we know that is a great need for us in our building. Some of the things that the teachers are using are First in Math to target fluency. We utilize some grant money for Greg Tang Math, which helps students with number sense. We still focus on small groups and professional development with math games and math activities. Next slide. Science is the best data so far as PSSA. Last year, we went up 35.9% on PSSA, so I was really excited by that. It was around 17% last year. And we really were committed to the teacher utilizing the curriculum with fidelity, with small group instruction, as she would have with reading and math instruction. Next slide.
Alrighty, our next slide talks about how we conduct and care for our students, and we talk about our behavioral data. So at CUSA, we have a full-time counselor and social worker. We also offer counseling and therapy through Eastern University, as well as we have added on an art therapist. So some supports we have school-wide are, we have lunch bunch groups where students can go and have lunch bunch with in our counseling suite or with teachers or other adult staff that are in our building. We have multiple small groups, individual student counseling, trauma therapy groups. They are run by Ms. Heslop, Dr. Miller, Ms. Dowdell, Mr. Leary, and Ms. Morgan. We also offer a program called Check and Connect mentoring through our Spell Grant. That is where there are point adults in the building who students go and check in with each day. And they keep track of their behavior. They can check in. They can ask for a break and go see their mentor, any of those things throughout the day. We also offer art therapy groups, and we are building and tracking our supports for behavior using Panorama, whether that be great behavior or negative behavior. So we are tracking all behavioral data through Panorama. I'm sorry. Our partnerships at CUSA are increasing, which is something that we are really very proud of. So through Fine Arts and Mentoring, we have increased our partnerships. So we have and host a partnership with Walnut Street Theater, as well as the Kimmel Center for Performing Arts and the National Theater for Children. That has been going on consecutively over the last 2 years. We also have gained the PICO grant, and they also come and work with our students with theater. We host the Scouts of America, the Masons of the 2nd District, AKA Incorporated, Tau Omega Division, and the Cornerstone Christian Ministries. We also have added on the Philadelphia Wings, as we have stated earlier. So not only do they come to us, but we will go to them, and they will host us and the community for games and team building activities, as well as personal development sessions for our students.
And because Dr. Odom and I like to perform, this is just a little picture to show how we work well together and we coordinate. So thank you so very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Kusa. Great work. Keep it up. Slow and steady wins the race.
Got one more, Mr. Yellen, Digital Academy.
Digital Academy. I've heard great things. My first time meeting you in person. So.
Yeah, hi. Hello. Nice seeing everyone. Thank you for having me. I think that the Digital Academy is probably like a well-kept secret in the district a little bit, and we want it to be less of a secret. So I think part of my responsibility here is to talk a little bit about what Digital Academy is, what it means for the district, and sort of the future of it and where we're headed. So next slide, please. So what is Digital Academy?
We don't mind. You can. I prefer you talk to the audience.
Oh yeah, I don't.
You know, so that they can hear it in the camera versus us.
Sure. Face this way or face that way?
That way's fun.
All right. So what is the Digital Academy? The Digital Academy is the internal in-district fully virtual program for Chester Upland. We essentially allow students to attend class remotely from wherever, but stay in district. This means that they still have access to all of the in-district extracurriculars, athletics, and supports, rather than seeking those things outside of the district. And we typically accept students either as a direct enrollment, like they might enroll in any other school in the district, or as a transfer from one of the other district schools. I think the mission of Digital aligns directly with the mission of the district, which is we are children first. We are looking to identify our students' strengths, trying to help them eliminate obstacles that they might experience, whether those obstacles are academic or social emotional. We want to bring students back to the district as one Chester Upland, rather than having students attending disparate schools, whether they be charters, cyber charters, etc. We are in the process of reimagining the curriculum to be more project-based and problem-solving based, rather than a truly like traditional in-school curriculum, because we are not in a physical building. And finally, we are always working towards equity for all of our students, whether they are diverse learners or English language learners, and really trying to take a whole student approach that emphasizes like social emotional skills, team building. So, am I too loud?
No, just couldn't see your presentation.
So currently we have 86 students who are enrolled in grades 6 through 12, and we have capacity to take on additional students. The vast majority of our enrollment, as you can see here, is concentrated in the high school, with most of them being 9th grade students. That being said, not all of the students who enroll in digital are with us for a full school year or sometimes even a full semester. We have students who enroll in digital because they are on maternity leave or because they've experienced some form of housing instability or their family has been the victim of violence in some way, right? So we do have mobility between digital and the other schools in the district, whether they be middle schools or high schools. This is like a very boring part that probably like only teachers care about, but we have an atypical school day where our students only spend half of the school day synchronously with teachers as required classes, and then they spend the other half of the school day with the ability to work independently, but also with access to office hours for teachers if they choose to not work independently during that time. So that means that if a student recognizes that, they're a really good math student, they might not go to office hours for math, but they might go to office hours for a class with which they're struggling. And those are essentially flip-flop for high school and middle school. So on a day or at a time when high school is synchronous, then the middle schoolers would be asynchronous, but with access to office hours. Next slide, please. So this is like a regular schedule for a high school student. You can see that on that schedule are all of the classes that a high school student would need for that appropriate grade level. So this is a 9th grade student, and you can see that they're being offered the same number of classes, just at different times throughout the day. That includes all of their cores plus electives that you might see at the very bottom. So creative writing, music, foundations of algebra, phys ed, right? So we offer all of the classes that a student might need to progress through the grades. Same thing for middle school. So this is an example of an 8th grade schedule. This is an 8th grade student who's taking all of the 8th grade cores and then is taking on Fridays some of their electives, or as I used to call them, specials back in the day. In terms of curriculum and instruction, we offer all of the classes that a student would need in order to graduate from school in this district. That includes advanced courses for our students and includes hundreds of electives that we cycle through, some of which we can offer independently to students and others that we can offer with support from teachers. All of the courses that we offer, we align to PA standards, and we do the same type of teacher coaching and teacher feedback based on the Danielson model that might happen at any other high school in the district. We use Pearson Connexus, if anybody's like a huge Pearson fan, maybe of Pearson stock, as the learning management system. So we don't use Google Classroom, which is like a little bit of a, I would say a learning opportunity for students because they're on the new platform, but we use Zoom to meet synchronously with the students. So points of pride, we've had some significant improvements between Q1 and Q2 of the school year. I want to highlight 2 of them. So the first is student attendance. Between Q1 and Q2, we saw a 6% increase in average daily attendance from 65% to 71%. And that was due in large part to better implementation of attendance tracking, but also attendance interventions. And that included not just calls home, but often personalized texts to parents, and not just like robo-texts, so that we can have like a good relationship with the guardian. We also saw improved performance in courses between Q1 and Q2 across all grade levels. So we went in total from 63% of the attempted credits being earned to now in Q2, students are on pace for 72% of attempted credits being earned, which is a huge jump from quarter to quarter. There are new initiatives that we're working towards. So high school seminar classes, something that happens, I would say at Chester High, typically for only special education students, is something that we're rolling out universally across all of our high school groups, where students will have access in their grade group twice a week to post-secondary activities led by a counselor, to social emotional activities, and specifically the digital citizenship activities, about how to safeguard their information online, how to be a good participant in online discussion. We're also looking at a slate of scheduled events to bring students into the building and help them connect a little bit better with their classmates. So academic events in the building, social events to help build a little bit of rapport, cultural events in the building, and then science and math labs. And finally, we're moving towards a more project-based learning system. Mostly is going to have concentrated skill instruction for students and then more independence to demonstrate what they know through projects. And then this is the last one here, just in terms of recruitment and enrollment. So we're working towards a pretty significant website overhaul that will include all of the information at a glance for families who are interested in joining the Digital Academy. That will be targeted not just to families in the district, and I would say primarily not to families who already have students in the district, but primarily outside families who live in the district but don't have a student who attends one of our public schools. That will include marketing materials like printed mailers and targeted emails to families so they know that this is available to them and they don't need to seek it elsewhere. And finally, we have been forming some community partnerships with folks who'd like us to come out and do some in-person tabling events, to take referrals from them, including a really good relationship with Delco CYS, who have, it turns out, a whole slate of referrals for students who have been potentially in foster care or in and out of some form of placement. And that includes like just open Q&A sessions where people can find out about what would happen with their student in Digital Academy. So that's kind of where we are.
Thank you so much. Go ahead.
So we have not hit the spring Keystone tests yet for high school. We did do the Firefly assessment, which was sort of a practice test, which is similar to what they'll see on the Keystones, but not all students took the Firefly. So it would be hard to say exactly, how they would match up. But if you're interested, I can pull previous year Keystone scores for you and show you those.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I can do that.
And again, for the record, Digital Academy is a program we have here that we need to market much more. I know we are currently working with A Central Marketing in the DCIU, the superintendent's office, and the academic office to put out a marketing one-pager to talk about that and some other programs. As you know, we are heavily charterized here in Chester Upland School District, and this is a way for us to have some healthy competition to let parents know that there is an option if you want to enroll your child into a digital academy versus a cyber charter school. We have it right here in the confines of this district, so why not take advantage of it? I won't put anyone on the spot on the side over there, any of the administrators, but we'll be talking more about it in the near future so that we can do some more recruitment and retention. With that, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from the November 26, 2024 receivers meeting with the public. The minutes for the November 26, 2024 receivers meeting are hereby approved. At this time, we'll have public comment on action items only. Ms. A. Jean Arnold, 2601 McCarry.
Good evening. The only thing that I wanted to say is thank you so very much for B7. I've been an advocate for persons to be recruited and hired to help with the subjects that we have such difficulty with, and I'm delighted, more than delighted, to see that we are bringing on some math specialists. So I'm excited to see what they will do, and I'm excited to see the results that will happen with our children with their literacy in quantities and counting.
Thank you, Ms. Arnold. All right, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda items. At this time, the education agenda items A1 through A9, action items A1 through A9 are hereby approved. All right. Under the personnel agenda, action items B1 through B7, action items B1 through B7 are hereby approved. And under our business agenda, action item C1 through C26. Action item C1 through C26 are hereby approved. We'll move on to public comment. Ms. Sylvia Richbo, 107 East 23rd Street. You have 3 minutes.
I don't need 3 minutes. I just need one small ask, and 2 asks. Can you reschedule our meeting?
Absolutely.
And then I'm asking for like a foster between Ms. Anye and Toby Farms. There's some type of disconnect. Okay, they've had Spirit Week as well. I know that they come and do their presentation once a month, but they feel like they're not being highlighted over there with the stuff that they're doing.
At Toby Farm?
Yes, like they had Autistic Support Day where they took the kids somewhere. They had College Career Day. They took the autistic kids to a therapeutic horse farm. They had donuts with grown-ups, 90% attendance. They have a 90s club, an 80s club. They're doing things over there, and they just feel like they're not highlighted. That's it. Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
for that. So I
I
just
did
want
speak with Ms. Anye, and she did say that nobody's contacting her. That's
I
why
just
I'm
wanna
asking
say-
for a foster.
yeah, I just wanted to say every principal, school leader has the opportunity to reach out to our district communications to put out any information, and that's why you see. what you see
Right,
in my
right. I know they
presentation.
come and do the report.
And I believe
Some other
with the
staff, they're just like,
new,
nobody's coming taking pictures of us, and we're doing stuff.
Yeah, that can be coordinated by the school leader, and at any time that information is shared, our district is there.
We just need a little foster, and that's all.
the new website will also allow them, they have their own page that they could do what they
Yeah,
do
they
in
also
their
have a
app.
page.
So they have their own page and they're
Yes.
just not posting on it. Well, maybe they need
So
some
we'll-
help.
we'll work
getting
on
thing
that.
going.
We'll work on it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Kiara,
Hello.
hello. Could you just state your name and address for the record?
Sure, Kiara Morales, 1924 West Brook Street, Chester, PA. So I am the owner of Growing Flow Hair Product Line. I'm also newly on the cosmetology board program here at Chester High. I have been serving the community of Chester for like the past 7 years with my hair product line. We also have a big focus on hair education as well as entrepreneurship. I would like to present a program to you guys that's focused on vision board setting, goal setting, as well as entrepreneurship, catering to cosmetology program students. But it doesn't have to be limited to that because it is like a more so focus on entrepreneurship, making sure they have those skill sets. I'd like to share it more in detail, but I don't have like an email or someone to like follow up with, so I'll look
So
to get that.
I would say Dr. Sutton is our Deputy Superintendent of Schools, and Dr. Parker, she's our Chief Academic Officer.
Okay.
They will probably be the 2 points of contact along with Ms. Alvarez to get that started because
Okay.
it will be geared more toward academics. So if you want to give your contact information even to Ms. Vicks here, right
Okay.
here, our
Okay,
secretary, you can give her your contact information and she'll coordinate to make sure
Okay.
that you get
Can
some
I
sort
share
of.
one other thing real quick?
I'm sorry?
Can I share one other thing real quick? So I do also do like community gift bags, book bag drives, book bag and hair supply dashes. Our 3rd annual is coming up August 14th. It's always held at the library. And then I also do beauty and entrepreneurship camps for girls ages 6 through 12. That's also at the library. And so I am having an event this year. It's a sneaker ball gala. I'd like to get some support with that as well. Hopefully we have some of the, representatives from the district come out and support as well.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Austin? And again, if you can state your name and address for the record, you have 3 minutes for public comment.
Yes, Austin Wright, 2520 8th Street, Philadelphia, PA. Actually was invited up here by Kiara. I run a after-school program at the local library in Chester. I run an organization, hybrid organization, Ava's Farm, Feed Philly Now, where we provide after-school programming and fresh snacks and healthy foods for the kids after school. And what I wanted the opportunity is to present to your STEM Academy, my program. We work with the Mastery Charter System in Philadelphia, the Philadelphia School District, Philadelphia Parks and Recs. We've done CMOS labs, other science labs, photo clubs. We even do a hair club at the library. Chester has embraced our program over the last 2 years. We've fed all 3 of your football teams, the Upland football program, the Chester Panthers, and the Cougars this summer. And every weekend we feed the Chester Biddy Basketball League. So with the way Chester has embraced us, just wanted to, like I said, Kira invited me and thought that it would be something great to share with the school district over here.
Thank you. And again, Ms. Alvarez is the best point of contact for that and could coordinate all of those efforts for you, for both of you. So I will make sure that we give you her email address, so you can email her. She's very responsive, and I'm sure she'll have you doing something.
And the best thing about our program is free. We come
That's
out.
appreciated.
Thank
Ms. Biggs. And Ms. A. Jean Arnold, 2601 McCarry Street.
Thank you again. I have a list of items that I'll just run down this list. One is, can we please do more support for the phones, the cell phones that come out of the classroom? There are some teachers who are doing a magnificent job, and they have a system, and I know this is a good word for Dr. Mumeen, because I remember her talking about systems some time ago. I still remember. I want to say that we have some micro systems that are working, and so I'm just saying, please take the phones out of the classroom because we know how important that is. I'm asking that we give a date as to when we will complete those wonderful repairs that we began on the boys' locker room upstairs. I saw some of the good work that you've done, but it is not yet complete. They're wonderful athletes, so please try to give us a date for that.
They sent me some pictures actually yesterday, Ms. Arnold.
Okay.
It looks like it's like 95%, but
Wonderful. Thank you. I am going to ask again for the complete Mass Insight report to be published on the website. And we can expect an influx of students from the charters. It typically, I think, happens around this time of year, and we know why that happens. And so that's an extra challenge that is going to be presented to our district, and so I really want us to be as, I guess, proactive as we can possibly be to sort of take care of that. Cursive writing. I heard a while ago that we were going to start cursive writing, so I'm asking again for a specific plan and date for when we're going to have certain teachers do that in our district. The recovery plan, as you know, did not have enough detail about the academic component for our district, and I don't know whether the revision for the recovery plan has attended to that or not, but I'm asking that we really do that, and I'll probably bug you about when and where and those details rather than ask you about that tonight. But I just want that to be a priority item that we can attend. Yes. I thought you were going to say something.
We can talk after, because I don't want to answer that publicly.
Okay.
About a committee, but we'll chat after this meeting.
Yes. And the last thing I want to talk about is I was greatly bothered, upset by a missed service for one of our medically fragile students. He has an IEP. He's been with the district for a while. And what I'm asking for, I know we have some new persons on board and doing wonderful work. What I'm asking for is how can we do something of an audit so that you can take a fine look. I'm trying to be gentle and nice about this. Can we take a fine look at our special ed department to make sure that we have cross T's and dot I's so that these kinds of mishaps don't happen again. I have been given permission to mention this, so if anybody thinks that I'm talking out of turn, no, I am not. But we cannot let this kind of mishap happen to our students again. And I think you know what I'm talking about.
I personally spoke with Mom, so I am aware of the situation and spoke with the staff as well. I can assure you that those I's are being dotted, those T's are being crossed. We even have had conversation with the Department of Education about offering some additional supports around special education. As it is a transition, Dr. Link is new. I will publicly say I think Dr. Link has done a magnificent job.
Yes. And in no way is this any kind of dispersion or anything against her. Please, Chester, understand that. That's not what I'm saying.
And I was going to get to ask if people can have a little patience and grace because she's new.
Yes,
and the SPED department for decades.
yes, yes,
And I'll just leave it there, for decades.
yes.
So it's unraveling, and we're trying to do what we can to ensure that all students, especially our special education students, get quality services.
Yes.
So yes.
And I want to put out another little plug for the elected school board. Is there a way that we could probably, and I don't know, have them do student hearings again? You know more about the intricacies of that than I do, but I know that they did that in years past, so I throw that out. Who's not close to the situation, but something that we might consider.
All right, we will. Thank you.
You think about it.
I didn't say I would think about it. We're actually starting to have some little conversations here and there, but we'll get to it.
Yeah, sure. I just wanted to share one more piece on the special education. You know, we take the education of our students very seriously. In the special education department, we will also have a district-wide audit to support our department as we do in all of our other departments, as we call it continuous improvement. So that absolutely will happen in supporting the department.
Did I put a plug in for the organizational chart again? If I did, if I didn't, I have so many things
It's on
my
my
list.
desk to final,
Did I mention it?
final approve. No, you mentioned it, but
Okay.
not tonight. But
Yes,
every time I see you, the first thing I think is organizational.
yes, yes, thank you. I can't, well, it's the way I think.
I understand.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Arnold. All right, with that, everyone stay warm, get home safe. This meeting is adjourned.